If you're self-employed, a member of the FIRE community, or even just somebody who wants to retire early, you've probably heard a little bit about HSAs. So in today's video, we're going to give you our somewhat controversial opinion on whether HSAs are even worth it. So first and foremost, of course, what is an HSA? Now I'm going to go over the basics right now, but if you're already well-versed and you just want to get into the nitty-gritty, feel free to check out the video chapters in the description below and go ahead and skip ahead. All right, I'll wait. Anyway, an HSA is a health savings account, which is an interest-bearing account with your money in it. And the amount that you contribute is pre-tax. Now, every year, the IRS sets a maximum contribution for HSAs that year. And in 2025, the max HSA contribution is $4,300 for an individual, that is to say, someone who is enrolled in an individual health plan, more on that in just a minute, or $8,550 for a family. HSAs are very appealing to people because of the triple tax advantage that they offer. So, as I mentioned, it is your money, and that money that you contribute is pre-tax, therefore lowering your taxable income. So you may actually have to pay less when you file your taxes, or perhaps receive a larger refund. Additionally, if you're someone who gets your health insurance through the marketplace, then remember that the marketplace is looking at your MAGI, or modified adjusted gross income, to determine your eligibility for a premium tax credit. So by contributing to an HSA, you may lower your MAGI to the point where you could be eligible for a larger premium tax credit. This could save you quite literally thousands of dollars per year.
On healthcare.gov, if you put in your zip code, it'll either take you to healthcare.gov or redirect you to your state's individual marketplace, and then it'll ask you a few simple questions to determine if you're eligible for a premium tax credit and estimate what that might be. So I highly recommend that you do click where it says start, tell you about, who's in your household. Let's put us and other people. Continue. We'll put married. I'm going to go through these as quickly as possible. Yes, we'll claim dependents. Let's say 2. Continue. Tell us about you. 35-year-old male who is a legal parent. Continue. And let's say our spouse is a 35-year-old female who is also a parent. Continue. And then let's say we've got 2 twin boys. Quite a lovely family. Okay, so this is our household. Confirm. Now we're going to estimate our income. So I want to show you this a couple different times so you see how that affects your premium tax credit. So let's say our total income is going to be $80,000. Your estimated premium tax credit is $1,104 per month. This is an estimate. Then if you were to view the plans, let's just skip this, what you will see is that premium tax credit applied and what your estimated monthly premium would be. I'm going to go back and I'm going to adjust the income that I put in. Let's put 70,000. I want to put 70,000 this time. This is why I wanted to look at this. You may be eligible for extra savings if you pick a silver plan. If this pops up for you, that you may be eligible for extra savings with the silver plan, please, please, please look at the silver plans very closely, because with these extra cost savings on deductibles, copays, and coinsurance, it very often works out that a silver plan is actually going to be a better deal for you than even a platinum plan when you actually utilize your health insurance. So take a look at that, and then we can actually sort by silver, apply filters. And you'll see you'll still have some pretty reasonably priced for a family plan, silver plans, that will offer you tremendous cost savings with those extra cost savings offered by silver plans. Now, of course, if you wanted to skip these questions or you made significantly more money, then you would see full-priced plans, which are going to be a lot more than what we were looking at before.
As I mentioned earlier, HSAs are interest-bearing accounts, and the interest accrued on the money that you contribute is also not taxed. And as long as you withdraw for a qualified medical expense, then there is no penalty or additional taxation. And the list of qualified medical expenses is truly very extensive. So even if you're not planning on taking advantage of an HSA for the additional financial advantages that we're going to talk about in just a moment, there are so many things that you can actually use your HSA for. Not just major medical expenses. It can even be things like chiropractic care or over-the-counter medications. Now, you'll never lose the funds in your HSA. You can let it roll over from year to year, and that interest will, of course, accrue. And if you hold on to it until you're 65, it'll convert to a basic retirement account. But the real appeal of HSAs are the investment potentials. And we'll talk more about that later in the video. But before we do, a brief pause. If you like this video, and we really, really hope you do, make sure to click that like button and subscribe to stay up to date. We do release these videos on a weekly basis. If you have any questions whatsoever about your health insurance, you can reach us in the comments below or at the number on the screen. We are licensed health insurance brokers, which means we work for you, not the insurance carrier, and we're licensed nationwide. And there is, of course, absolutely no charge for our services. All right, let's get back to it. You may have also heard about FSAs. And are FSAs and HSAs the same thing? Are they interchangeable? Can you use them in conjunction? Well, let's talk about that as well.
So there are similarities and differences between FSAs and HSAs. So HSA, health savings account, as we've already discussed, and FSA is a flexible spending account. So with an HSA, the downside is that you must use it in conjunction with a high deductible health plan, as opposed to an FSA, which you can be used with any type of health plan, including a traditional health plan. The account ownership. With an HSA, it is owned by you, and you take it with you, which we're going to talk about in just a minute, as opposed to that FSA, which is really dictated and determined by your employer. With an HSA, you can contribute. Your employer very often will contribute. Usually this is something that they use to incentivize you to enroll in a plan with an HSA, because they are responsible for 50% of those monthly premiums, and very often plans with HSAs, group health insurance plans, are less expensive for your employer, so they want you to take advantage of that. FSAs, it's member and employer. Oh, also HSAs, it does here that your family can contribute. That's because you own it. So technically, any member of your family that's on your plan, if you're enrolled in a family plan and you are doing family HSA, then your family can contribute as well. Tax deductible contributions, yes. Adjust the amount. With an HSA, you have ultimate flexibility. With an FSA, not so much. Tax-free distribution, yes. Debit card, very often you can pay for your expenses with an HSA with a credit card or debit card, rather, that is tied to your account. And although, yes, technically that availability varies by plan, it's almost always the case. Can card members invest? Only with an HSA. We're going to talk about that soon. Not with an FSA. And this is one of the major selling points of HSAs. Tax-free earnings, that is related to those investments. So, of course, that only applies to an HSA, not an FSA. Long-term savings only applies to an HSA, not an FSA. Do funds expire? This is important. As we've discussed, those funds will roll over from year to year with an HSA. With an FSA, it's very much so use it or lose it. There can be a grace period, but it is really just use it or lose it rather. And you will see here, so the account carryover. Yes, even if you change health plans, employers, or retire. The important thing to remember here, though, is you can only actively contribute to an HSA while you are enrolled in a high deductible health plan. So let's say year one, you're enrolled in a high deductible health plan, you contribute the maximum contribution. Great. Next year, your needs change slightly. A high deductible health plan isn't really right for you. Well, you can no longer actively contribute to that HSA in year two if you're not enrolled in a high deductible health plan, but you still will have the money. You're not going to lose it. So it can sit there accruing interest. You can continue to invest it if you'd like, or you can use those funds for qualified medical expenses. Contribution limits in 2025 for an HSA, it's $4,300 for an individual, $8,550 for a family. For an FSA, it's $3,200, regardless of whether it's an individual or family.
Now, the downside to HSAs is that they must be used in conjunction with an HDHP, which is a high deductible health plan. Just like with those maximum contributions, every year the IRS sets a minimum deductible in order for a plan to be considered a high deductible. And in 2025, that minimum deductible is
$1,650 for an individual plan or $3,300 for a family plan.
But in all honesty, it's usually going to be much higher than that. Usually you'll notice that those high deductible health plans, especially those that offer HSAs, will have those deductibles set much closer to the out-of-pocket maximum, if not the exact same as the out-of-pocket maximum. And we'll see that in just a minute as well. Now, HDHPs are not inherently bad. If you are a pretty healthy person who really just wants a plan in place to protect you should the worst happen, then an HDHP could be a great way to save money, because usually you'll still have access to some of those more basic and preventative services even prior to meeting the deductible. Often plans with higher deductibles have lower monthly premiums, and of course vice versa. Plans with higher monthly premiums tend to have lower deductibles. There's usually that inverse relationship there, although that's not always the case with high deductible plans that offer an HSA. Also, for people that have more extensive or extreme medical needs, then you might actually consider a high deductible health plan. Make sure to weigh the pros and cons carefully, but very often people with much more extensive medical needs can meet those deductibles or out-of-pocket maximums extremely quickly and then save money on lower monthly premiums. The problem you'll notice, as I already mentioned, is that very often those high deductible health plans that specifically offer HSAs, because not all do, don't actually have lower monthly premiums.
Right now we're looking at the full price health plan, so please, no sticker shock. Right now it is sorting by lowest monthly premium, which, as I said, usually means higher deductibles, so most of these plans would be considered a high deductible health plan. That doesn't mean they necessarily offer an HSA, and we're going to look at that in just a moment. So premium of $359 with a $9,200 deductible, premium of $376 with a $7,500 deductible, premium of $380 with an $8,450 deductible. You see how that's working. All right, now look at plans that offer the HSA. We're going to go up here and add filters, eligible for HSA. And we jumped up at least $200 per month. And what's this? Up $731 per month for this plan that offers an HSA. And for the area that we put in, those are the only two plans that do in fact offer HSAs. Now, also, as I mentioned before, even though a plan only has to have a deductible of $1,650 to be considered a high deductible health plan, we are nowhere near that. $6,650. So these are high deductible health plans, and the deductibles are almost the out-of-pocket maximums. So that's sort of the financial downside, is that very often if a high deductible health plan offers an HSA, you'll see that those monthly premiums may be a little bit higher than sort of the regular high deductible health plans. Additionally, that deductible, even though it is $1,650 to be considered a high deductible health plan, it's usually going to be much higher than that.
Now, the third part of that triple tax advantage that I've sort of danced around but haven't gone into depth yet is the investment potential. So you can actually invest a certain portion of your HSA. You have to have at least $1,000 contributed towards your HSA, but after that, you can invest your HSA, and any earnings on those investments are, you guessed it, not taxed. So should you even have an HSA? Well, HSAs do offer you the ability to make money, but as you've seen, they can cost you a significant amount of money as well. Sometimes, if you have insurance through your employer, they'll actually offer you a plan with an HSA, and very often they will actually contribute to the HSA themselves. Now, if this is the case, this could be a great option for you. First, of course, make sure that enrolling in a high deductible health plan is going to serve you and your family, but if it does, this is a great way to sort of stick your toe in the water of HSAs without the financial risk that might come from a marketplace plan with a much higher monthly premium. Now, for those that are going to enroll in a marketplace plan that offers an HSA, you'll need to run the numbers much more carefully. However, remember, with investing, it's really a long game. So if you were to compare the costs associated in a monthly premium for a plan with an HSA versus the amount that you would earn off of the interest accrued and even investments, then you're probably not going to recoup those amounts of money in the first or even second year. However, if you were to contribute the maximum for a year or two while enrolled in a high deductible health plan, even one with a larger monthly premium, if you were to just invest it and leave it alone, you might see significant earnings if you were to leave it alone for several years.
Okay, folks, so a Disclaimer, we are of course not financial advisors, and if you are interested in an HSA or if you have financial advising questions, we highly recommend that you work with a financial professional. That being said, let's say you were interested in an HSA and maybe just for 1 year. Maybe you were never going to do it again, but this 1 year, a high deductible health plan works for you. And you and your family decide to contribute the maximum amount, which is $8,500. Let's say you're actually 35. You never and you're not going to touch it again because that's the maximum amount. You don't take anything out for qualified medical expenses. You do not touch it, but you invest a certain portion of it. Let's see. So at 70 years old, it's projected that that $8,500 would turn to $277,429. Actually, no. We do need to make it $7,500 because remember, at least you have to have at least $1,000 in there. So let's calculate that instead to get a more realistic number, I guess. All right, so now you're down to $244,790. So you can see why it's very appealing to people, even just as an investment tool. Basically, even if you were to just do it once and leave it alone, you've lowered your taxable income by that $8,550. You've potentially made your eligibility for premium tax credits much more significant, and you're using it as an investment tool for the future.
So have you enrolled in a plan with an HSA? Has it been financially advantageous for you or not so much? Let us know in the comments below. And also, if you have any guidance for our viewers, we'd love to hear from you as well. If after watching this you've determined that an HSA and a high deductible health plan is not really for you and you want to learn more about some more of those traditional marketplace plans, make sure to check out this video here as well as our playlist all about your options if you are self-employed. Of course, if you have questions, you can reach us in the comments below or at the number on the screen. And as always, before you go, please make sure to like and subscribe. We'll see you next time.